If you wish to speak on any item appearing on the agenda, please fill out a speaker card noting the number of the agenda item about which you wish to speak and present it to the board clerk. If you wish to speak about more than one agenda item, please fill out a separate card for each item. If you wish to speak under public comment, please note that on the speaker card when the matter is announced. Please approach the speaker's lectern after being recognized by the chair. Can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Here.
Supervisor Flores?
Here.
Supervisor Ziegemeyer?
Here.
Supervisor Baines?
Present.
Supervisor Conant?
Here.
And can we stand for invocation led by Pastor Doug Smith of Hope Nazarene Church?
Let's pray. God, we just pause now to request your wisdom, your comfort, your peace. We do have so much to be thankful for. Thank you for this beautiful city, county, and state. We want to be committed to helping those in need, not passing by when we see someone in need. We want to use the resources that you've given us to bless, to connect strength to weakness. So we're just honored today to be in your presence, your great canopy of grace that we stand under every day. Bless this meeting. Again, give us discernment and wisdom and guidance. We pray in your name. Amen.
Can I get our art director, David Reed, to lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much. Public comment. Members of the public will be allowed to address the board with respect to items listed on the agenda only. The law requires that business not appearing on the agenda may not be discussed at a special meeting. All right. For public comment, looks like we have just two, or I should say three. All right. First one's up. Jeff Stevens.
Thank you, Board. I have a request that I would like for you all to consider, and I don't know exactly the correct process, but hopefully I'm doing the correct process. So many of you might be aware of Say Love and what it does, and we go out once a month and pick up garbage and clean up, and everything that we take in is received by Recology and Recycle Industries at no charge. And so you've probably seen on Facebook, if any of you follow me, we got a new trailer donated by Rotary, and Say Love has it in its arsenal right now. And it's a game changer for us. So we can go out and I can pick up a load of garbage in like an hour and take it in. And the way it works, everything goes in once a month to Recology, but or Recycling Industries also. But I have a deal worked out with them. If I bring in a load during the month, they'll take it in at no charge, but it's only me coming in. What I don't want to do is overwhelm them with garbage, and I would like maybe to consider the county. I'm going to approach Yuba County also to possibly create a little fund for Say Love that if I go in during the off month or off days of the month, that it's not always on them to take the garbage free of charge. That we're out doing a service as Say Love, but I don't want to burden them. And they don't know I'm in here asking for this, so it's not something that they have wanted me to do or anything else. It's just I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of them if I'm taking loads and loads of garbage in. And so I would ask that maybe for next year's budget or however it's done, that you might consider a little stipend fee. I was thinking like $5,000. If I spend it, I spend it. If I don't spend it, then I don't spend it. But it's just something for the board to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate all the work that you do as well. We can't really discuss it right now because it's not on, but I appreciate everything that you do, and we'll talk about it in meeting correspondence afterwards, but thank you so much. Next up, we have Deborah DeRosiers.
not familiar with my name's Deborah DeRozier. I live in Sutter County. I'm not familiar with the part where the law requires that the business not appearing on the agenda may not be discussed. But I can still say what I need to say, right? Okay, so I wanted to let you know that I think you're abusing the consent calendar. The consent calendar purpose is to pass non-controversial items that do not require discussion. And we need to have some discussions today on some of the items on the consent calendar. You're pulling 6? I'd like to pull item number 5 off of the consent calendar so we can have a discussion. I'd like to hear from the, I think that one's, the county administrator. I'd also like to pull item number 10 off to have a discussion regarding this sneaky change of office hours. Oh, wait, which one? Also, I wanted to make a comment that your website is really hard to navigate. If I wanted to design a website where nobody was able to contact me, I would use yours as a model. It's, like I said, difficult to navigate. Every time I have to look up something, I have to do it by a search. I don't even see, but under the departments, who works in the departments. There's no email addresses on how to contact people. There's no information on open requests for proposals. And there's a lot of public information that's just not on the website. Also, I have another issue with Public Record Act requests. I want to know why Sutter County thinks it doesn't have to comply with the government code. They're not answering within the delay, or they're delaying the answers and providing the documentation. They're not giving me the reasons why the documentation is being delayed. And what are you guys all doing? I mean, you're not listening to me? Mike? I'm talking to you.
I'm taking actual notes about what you're saying. That's what I do up here.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So.
I also want to know why the Public Record Act requests, when some documents are uploaded into your website, a lot of the information is missing, and then the file or the request will be marked closed. So I don't have any way to communicate with the county to find out why I didn't get what I requested and how to get what I requested that it didn't come. And also for specific items that you decide or somebody decides don't need to be
I'm sorry,
provided to me.
your time's up.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we have Liz Cervantes.
Oh, can you ask this question right here? And here are the 5 crashes from yesterday.
Liz Cervantes, District 5. Why are reasons for delay, excuse me, not given according to government code? Why are PRAs closed without disclosing missing information? Why are the specific reasons for missing information not given? Why does the PRA site crash repeatedly? Yesterday, it appears it crashed 5 times. Did you know that? Everybody know that? Okay. So my public comment that I would like to just plant a seed in your heads is there needs to be a clear separation between government. What I mean by that is when we were out working for we very quickly identified that the community does not understand the roles of city council as opposed to supervisors. Okay? They ask city questions to you guys and county questions to them. So it's probably been about 3.5 years. I can't remember. COVID, I blame everything on COVID. But when we moved over from 2nd Street, that was supposed to be temporary. We were going to update that facility and go back to it, right? That's what the agreement was. And I'm telling you, after the way that you treated the city during Measure A, I would kick you to the curb out of this city council building. This is their chambers. And we have ours. We own that building. What is wrong with it? Is there an update on the updates? I hate it that you can't answer back. It's so frustrating.
Thank you very much, Liz. Okay, moving on to Tony. You're up.
Yeah, I'm Tony Farley from Southeast City and Falls Drive. I hear support Measure A for first responders, for the Sheriff's Department, Zachary's Department, and Scott, and Brandon's Department, also Chief Southwood's Department. We need emergency management. We need civil defense. We need Measure A to support our first responders. First responders is our lifeline. It's like the military for first responders. Uniform, badge, handcuffs, tasers, you name it. We need our first responders. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Zach, and thank you, Showitz. I salute you. The real heroes, first responders. Thank for the probation department, U.S. Marshals, out of Sacramento, and FBI, you name it. Here's support Measure A. We need first responders. And, hey, more cops, more peace, more firefighters, more civil defense workers, more Skywarn. CERT team, we need to create a SWAT team. We need a SWAT team. FEMA created a CERT team back in LA in the 1980s. No CERT team is? We need a CERT team. And we also need Skywarn. We need Neighborhood Watch. We need all the first responder programs out there. So, thank you. Thank you for all government workers. Thank you for City Council. Thank you for everybody. Thank you, Board of Supervisors, for your work. Keep up your work. Real government, true government.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate that. All right, so we are going to close the public comment, and we are going to pull item number 6. We are not pulling item number 5 or 10. Those have been vetted throughout committee hearings. For those of the public that knows, we have different committee hearings throughout. Those are open to the public, and periodically it's nice to see individuals show up to those. They're wide open. But we've already vetted those. Yes.
Chairman, but we should hear comments for 5 and 10 if they're not being.
I have comments. Okay. Yes, I have comments. But matter of fact, we'll listen to those comments right now. Deborah DeRozier, you want to comment on number 5? And I'm sorry to clarify, we are pulling item number 6. Item number 6 was already told to get pulled throughout the weekend, so that has already been pulled. So I'm setting these aside. But you could speak on item, like I said, item number 5 now.
Okay. The reason why I asked to talk about item number 5, you placed it on the consent calendar again, and it seems like you don't want the public to hear about why the county budget is so far off. It's was created back in June, and I know the final revenue and expenditures were not complete, but this amount, it's about $2 million, seems like a lot to me. And I just wanted to hear from the county administrator why the county budget needs to be increased by almost $2 million. Does this have anything to do with the salary and benefit increases that you've been putting through the last couple months? Thanks.
Thank you. All right, and I'm going to let you speak on item number 10 as well.
Okay. Item number 10, again, putting this on the consent calendar. It does not comply with the countywide goal to be open, responsive, ethical, inclusive, and transparent as stated on page number 2 of that item. The employees of Sutter County are paid by taxpayers. People here may not realize that item number 10 is closing the county offices, most of them, for the week starting December 23rd through to January 2nd. I believe that the Sutter County offices need to be open to the public during normal business hours. It's also in your employee handbook, page number 6, that the offices should be open to the public during normal business hours. And if Sutter County employees want to plan to take the week off, that's fine. It's responsibility of the department heads to make sure there's coverage to keep the offices open. And the fact that it was supported, because it's noted in there that it was supported by the CAO, is just par for the course for Sutter County. You know, public service is the entire reason that the Sutter County government exists. And just wanted to know who would like to meet with me regarding some of the departments being closed every other Friday. That is also ridiculous. Most businesses would be not operating if they did that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to bring it back for a vote, and with pulling item number 6, can I get a motion?
Excuse me,
Yes.
we need a motion.
Yeah,
Well, that's
what we're doing.
Yeah.
I move to approve items 1 through 11, excluding 6.
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Conant, second by Supervisor Flores. Can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores? Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Let's bring up item number 6. All right, and we are going to open that up for we're going to bring it up for comment. And Deborah DeRozier, you're up.
It's pulled. Do we still discuss it?
No. We not pulled. We moved it. I'm sorry. Yeah, we moved for discussion. Hold it for discussion.
Hold it, yeah.
Yes. So Deborah DeRozier for item number 6.
You know, I know this was on the agenda last month or a couple weeks ago. And Liz was here. I am unable to make most of the Board of Supervisors meetings because I work in Sacramento, which you guys are probably grateful for that. But I have to leave work early in order to be here by 3 o'clock. It is right smack in the middle of the day. I would prefer this meeting to be first thing in the morning or 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, any o'clock, but 3 o'clock, or in the middle of the day. It just doesn't make sense. So I'm here to say we need to change the meeting time. And by you putting it on the consent calendar again, it's obvious that you don't want to listen to what your constituents say. It's disgusting.
All right. Thank you very much. Liz Cervantes.
Time change, no secret. I've been here. You guys are tired of me. I'm tired of asking for it. You know, I know something about boys. I raised a couple of them. And I think, Mike, it was you that said that it was pulled or it was adjusted, item number 6, meeting time change, somewhere over the weekend. But 3 weeks ago, we had a discussion here. You 5 had a discussion, and it was to be voted on at this meeting. Going back to my boys, you know, they had short attention spans. They had hard time following through with things, but they were 6 and 8, and they didn't have tons of staff. So I'm trying to figure out, what is the problem? Now, you know, I don't care. Whenever you guys meet, it can't be early, like Deborah said. What I've been hearing is 6 p.m. If we go back to our chambers, you can do it, you know, it's your time. But please, stop shutting the public out. They are frustrated that they cannot address their elected officials at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So my vote is for 6 p.m. And I would like to I know that this isn't part of this, but since we can ask anything now, I'd like to know when the numbers for the year 2022 for Transparent California will be disclosed. Transparent California has been...
I'm sorry, but we can only discuss item number 6 right now.
Okay. And the other thing, can we please get our sheriff in line with some of the other sheriff jurisdictions around here? I would encourage the local people to take a look at what Wendell Anderson makes compared to Brandon Barnes. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Starkey.
she hit it. Okay, there we go. First, let me say, remember why you're here. You're here for the people, not for you, for the people. So I was given a report that from the CAO, it was said that the 3 p.m. Time for the meeting was to accommodate staff. Unless staff is in here to do a report or do a presentation to you, there is no reason for staff to be in this room, other than the staff that's here that's required for the meeting. Now, why would I say that? Because I did over a decade as a public servant, and I spent my time at the board when I had something to present. My entire damn department did not come, just me. That was it. And that's all that needs to be here as far as staff is concerned. The folks sitting there, you guys, and the folks sitting there. No other staff should be sitting in here unless they have something to present. So, again, remember why you're here? You're here for us, the people, which seems to be something that's forgotten with this county big time, with the exception of the sheriff's department. They care about the people and the fire department. But it seems like right now here,
Can we stay on subject, please?
it doesn't seem like it's for the people. And that's why I agree with Liz. A 6 p.m. meeting would be perfect, because right now there's too many people who have at 3 o'clock to either pick up their kids at school or they have to still be at work. They can't be here. So which makes us all think, well, you don't want to hear what we have to say. And, and you said my name, I'm District 2. So I think it's time to seriously consider 3 p.m. doesn't work. Just like over at the other side of the river, 9 a.m. really doesn't work either. But I do think it needs to be considered to keep staff at their desk doing their job. If they want to listen to the meeting, fine, they can listen to it through their computer. We used to listen to them over at Yuba County all the time. But there's no reason for them to be here unless they're presenting something to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to close the public comment unless there's any more public comment. We're going to bring it back to the board for discussion. Is there any discussion? If not, I'd like to say something. The love for the community. I sit with colleagues on each side here that have served for decades from little leagues to volunteer firefighters to volunteering throughout school boards, education, hospitals, and so forth. These are the gentlemen that I'll go to war with right here, and you, because I know the love for the community from these gentlemen and staff. I've been told I'm a dumb farmer, go out. I've been told I'm a this and that. I love this community. So do these gentlemen love this community. That's why they do this job. All right? We have staff reports that we look at, and we ask for the numbers and what the cost would be if we were to have these 6 o'clock meetings. Chris, have you been to a meeting that started, well, I've personally been involved in a few meetings so far this year that have gone almost 5 hours long. That means we'd be here till almost 11 o'clock at night. Now, when I run my company, my personal company, and department heads, which we have here, I demand they all be there because I want to get the answer straight from them. I don't want to get someone on the phone. I want them here. That's how you run a business, and that's how we run this county right here. We want to go right to the source. I don't want to go to the assistant. I want to go right for it. So that's why you see these wonderful people here. So when we have questions, we can go right through them, and we can find out what the answer is right there direct. Now, we do this because the cost savings as well from starting out, so forth. Now, I've had people say, well, why don't you start out at 11 in the morning, those departments? Well, that's not fair to the public on this side. So that's why we keep those hours starting out at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and they're here at these 3 o'clock meetings, and hopefully we're out of here by 6 or 7. But the one thing that I want to be crystal clear, like I said, I've been here for 4 years, and by the time 5:30 rolls around, there's no one hardly in this room. So I'm curious what happens there. So at 6 o'clock, if we were to have those meetings, are people going to stick around till 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night? I don't think so, because I've seen it. Now, I started coming to meetings before I was a supervisor, not just when I won election. So with that being said, I'm going to be looking for a motion or a second, or if there's any other discussion from my fellow board here. Is there any more discussion?
Move to approve item number 6.
Second.
Roll call, please. Well, we got a motion by Supervisor Conant, second by Supervisor McKelly. Roll call, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziggemeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to public hearing, item number 12.
Public hearing to consider adoption of a resolution revising the fee schedules for the Clerk Recorder's Office and amending the Sutter County Ordinance Code Section 32-011 of Chapter 32 relating to County Clerk Recorder fee schedule to update the fees to current code and regulations, direct the clerk to read the title only, and continue the item to the December 6, 2022 board meeting for adoption.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and board members. Annie Liu, Deputy CAO. The item for your consideration is to revise the fee schedules for the Clerk Recorder's Office. The county periodically reviews departmental fees to ensure that the county's fee structure is up to date. The last countywide fee review was completed in 2019. Between 2019 to this year, many fees that set up by code and regulation have been changed. In addition, the costs and the process for the county to provide certain services also changed. The CAO's office has been planning to work with individual departments to conduct a comprehensive countywide fee review this year. The Clerk Recorder's Office is the first department in this process. The proposed fee schedule includes 26 fee increases. These increases reflect changes in staff cost, in time spent on each service, and/or changes in non-staff costs. The Clerk Recorder's Office has 4 different operational budget units, including Recorder, Clerk, Elections, and Clerk of the Board. Recorder budget unit is a fee-driven operation. Ideally, all the fees charged for the recording-related services should cover costs for the operation. There are 6 fees that set up by the supervisors are in the fee update proposal. For the clerk budget unit, certain services are provided with the fee, such as marriage license, marriage ceremony, passport. 13 fees that set up by the board are in the proposal. Just a note, the recording fees and clerk fees that directly set up by the code and regulation are not included in this proposal. Those fees are updated based on the code and regulation update. So those are not set up by our Board of Supervisors. So we're not including in this proposal. For the Elections Office, there are 6 fees updated in the proposal. The fees for elections are used to recoup county costs from agencies if they have measures on the ballot. Lastly, the Clerk of the Board. The Clerk of the Board rarely have any fee charged. The hourly rate is updated just in case if needed. The proposed new fees will result in an increase in cost recovery or increase of revenues for the Clerk Recorder's Office by $76,650 per year. This is just an estimate number. $8,400 is for clerk. $67,800 is for recorder, and $450 is for elections. Clerk Recorder is a general fund department. This completes the summary of the Clerk Recorder's fee update. Staff from the Clerk Recorder's Office, they're with me today to answer any questions you may have.
All right, we're going to open it up to the public. Is there any public comment? Thank you. No public comments. We're going to close the public hearing, bring it back for the board for discussion. Any discussion?
Good Chair.
Yes, sir.
I do have a question on the fees. How do they compare to surrounding jurisdictions for the fees overall? So, like, say, Yuba County, Colusa County.
I think we're some way not high and low end because our salary and everything is not high and compared with other regions.
Okay, so I don't know, did we do a comparison at all with the Yuba County when we were setting up the fees, or?
I think we didn't, but we kind of, the fees is just the cost recover is pretty much we set up the fees based on our cost.
Okay.
It's not based on what cost other county, you know, that the other counties set their fees.
They have their cost and we have ours separate. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, and that's what I
Makes
understood too in your report. Like I said, cost recovery.
Right.
Yes.
So.
And these fees, if we don't recover the cost, what that means is because it's general fund department, that means general fund will subsidize for the services provide to the certain people, not entire population of the community.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
So Annie, it is true though that the law requires that these fees are based on the actual cost, one, and two, the public should not be supporting through the general fund a fee charged for like marriage licenses. That person's supposed to pay that license full cost to implement the license.
Yeah, so this is like a services they choose to have with our county. They need to pay a fees. This is not free services.
Right.
So certain mandate services we provided without cost to the public because we get some fundings from somewhere. But here it's a service that we provide to the public. We have to have a fees for that service, just like other business.
Right.
Yes.
To the chair. If I may, thank you.
Yes.
Honorable Chair and Supervisors. I wanted to clarify just a little is that we look at the difference where if there's some service provided to that benefits all residents like sheriff or, fire, then it is what it is and our taxes pay for that. But if it's something that is for one individual person, like a building permit and that kind of time, or some of these things were copies or different licenses, then we tend to have a fee because it is a service for an individual.
Yeah, understood. Like I said, it can't cost the general fund, so this is just cost recovery from the cost of doing business. All right, so with that, if we have any more discussion, we'll look for a motion. And
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Koenig, second by Supervisor Flores. Can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
All right, and motion passes. Can we ask for the clerk to read the title of the ordinance?
An ordinance of the County of Sutter amending sections 32-011 thereof relating to the Sutter County Clerk Recorder's fee schedule.
Thank you very much. Our next item is appearance item number 13. Mr. Tom Russer.
Report of school visitations
Wherever you'd
in
like.
compliance,
Right here. I'd prefer right over here.
in compliance with the Williams legislation.
In the year 2000, there was a class action lawsuit which resulted in the Williams Act in which county offices and districts have to follow a set of protocols and rules. I came last year and talked about those, and I'm just going to briefly mention them as schools that were in deciles 1 through 3. So if you remember the STAR test that we used to have when schools did not perform on their tests, they got put on this list, and that went through 2000 through 2008. In 2008, the STAR test went away, but the Williams Act did not. And the schools in 2008 were on that list. They have been on that list since 2008. Those schools were Bridge Street, King Avenue, Park Avenue, and Luther and Live Oak. Last year, I didn't mention that those protocols were going to be changing, and they have. So those schools, have been removed from the list, although we do have one repeat school. but there are new indicators in which you get on that list. It is no longer just test scores. So there are two indicators that get you on the Williams list, Williams Act, and that's that you have more than 15% of your teachers that are not credentialed. So that does not mean that they're not educated or anything else. Is that with the teacher shortage, there's a huge amount of interns. We just can't find teachers, so they're getting them right out of college. They jump in a credential program. If you have a school or a district that has a huge new staff, you might hit that indicator and you would end up on this list. The other one is a dashboard. So schools are, the new report card for schools is a dashboard. There are 5 categories on that. Academic indicators, which are test scores, suspension and expulsion rates, absenteeism, graduation rates, and English language learner progress. So there's 2 different ways you can get on. You can get on through the dashboard, you can get on through credentials, or any mixed and thereof. So there were the schools and or districts that were involved this year were Gray Avenue, Park Avenue was on it again, Yuba City High School, East Nicholas High School District, and Cava. And Cava is a charter school that is attached to the Meridian Elementary School District. And I would like to say that all schools have checked out so far this year. Last year they were in that area of making the list. This year they're good. There is one school district, East Nicholas, that we're working with credentials because they had such an influx of new teachers coming in that they have several that are on interns but they are in good shape and will be making progress to get off this list. This year is the first year of this new way of doing things. All of these schools will be on it for 1 year. If you make the list for next year, you'll be on it for 3 years. So it's a 3-year stint. So this is the first year going. So that's it. All schools are doing well.
Thank you very much. And that's, man, that's tough to hear that, the teacher shortage and so forth. I know all of us that have kids in school, and we're lucky to have those substitutes, and it's just...
It's shocking what you can make as a substitute.
Yeah.
You make $240 a day to go sub. I mean, it's a pretty good gig.
Yeah. We're in the wrong profession here.
Well,
thank you very much.
I saw one of the retired local police chiefs was working at one of the schools the other day. I thought, well, you got to make your truck payment. Your CalPERS didn't work out. So
well, thank you for all that you do and all the teachers.
Yep.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yes, sir.
Well, Tom, thank you for the report, and thank you for visiting these schools. I saw in the report that you had given that you had visited all the schools that were listed.
Yes.
Now, the report does a good job, but do you see any problems with any of these schools or any of the schools in the county that maybe needs to cut your radar up?
That's a political question there.
No.
No, there are some schools that are doing phenomenal jobs. They really are, especially with the hands that they've been dealt with COVID and all the other things. It has not been easy. I will tell you that most of our schools are going to have an absenteeism issue.
Really?
We just are. I mean, kids are, parents pulling kids out for mental health days is a regular common thing. Not to say they don't need it. It's just with COVID and the way we did business, absenteeism is going to be a hard hit thing coming up in the future.
No, it's tough to hear. Thanks. Thank you very much, Tom.
Okay.
All right, we're going to open it up for public comment. Seeing no public comment, we're going to close the public comment. And we're going to number 14, Marika Garcia, Development Officer.
Receive a presentation on grants and revenue received in 2022 to support museum and library services and the impact these funds have on the community.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marika Garcia, and I'm the Development Officer for Sutter County. I work with the library and the museum to help raise funds to provide free services and programs to our community. So today I'm going to review some of the funds we've raised through grants and some of the work that we do at the library and the museum to support the community. So some of my tasks and responsibilities include grant researching, writing, and reporting. I do fundraising planning. I do site visits with donors and partners throughout the community. And I collaborate with our supporting nonprofits, the Community Memorial Museum Association for the museum and the Friends of Sutter County Library. I also make Edel Hall reservations for the general public and for county departments and other duties as assigned. So first I'm going to talk about the Sutter County Library. I just want to do an overview of some of the services that patrons use when they come to the library. So many of our patrons come to the main area and check out books and read and do some study within the main area of the library and the children's area. But patrons now, since we've reopened in May, are starting to use the Innovation Center and the study rooms and the meeting rooms. And the literacy classroom is obviously also a very popular area. So some of the grants that we received from this calendar year help support various programs that the library has. For instance, we were just awarded a seed library, and we'll be partnering with the farm advisor and the ag commissioner to do some programming at the library. We receive a grant, a Zip Books grant from the state library that actually helps develop our collection, and it allows the community to tell us exactly what they want us to order so that we can place it in the library. But first, it gets shipped to their door, and then they check it back in at the library. So total in all, we've been awarded $464,000 for various programs and services. The Friends of Sutter County Library is a nonprofit that supports many of the things we do. So far this fiscal year, we received a little over $13,000 from the Friends directly to the library to help fund kind of really nice things we like to have, like crafts and supplies for children's books and other items. And then the Friends so far have generated their own income, which doesn't necessarily go directly to the library, but they generated a little over $11,000 themselves this calendar year. So now I want to talk a little bit about the Sutter County Museum. So visitors come to the museum for various reasons, oftentimes just to come visit and see the temporary exhibits that we have and the permanent exhibits. Oftentimes they come for educational programs like speaker series and school tours, group tours, things like that, and events. So currently we are waiting on 2 different grants for the museum. So these are still pending. I was hopeful that we'd have news about this big $383,000 grant by this time. We were told by the California Natural Resources Agency that we'd know by mid-November, but we're still waiting, so hopefully we get good news. And then we also have another pending $25,000 grant that would help us renovate some of our permanent exhibit space. So another area of my job is Edel Hall reservations. So far, I've helped bring in $23,000 in revenue just from general public renters. We've had 189 public events, general public events from renters, and then 33 county department rentals since I've been here. And then the Community Memorial Museum Association is the nonprofit that supports the Sutter County Museum. They recently received a grant from Yuba-Sutter Arts and Culture to commission artwork for our permanent gallery space for $10,000. So, and all of that money goes out back into the community to local artists. The Museum Association also provides substantial support in volunteer hours and volunteers, as you can see. So looking ahead, we have several grant opportunities coming our way. There's a $7 million grant that could help fund a new Sutter branch library And there are other various state library grants that are upcoming this year that we will be applying for. And there's some federal opportunities to fund for the museum in the next fiscal year. So that is the end of my presentation. If you all have questions, I do have James Oxner and Molly Bloom here to help me answer questions if you have them about the library or the museum.
Through the chair.
Yes, well, actually, let me open it up for public comment. I don't see any public comment or speak cards. We're going to close public comment, bring it back to the board for discussion. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Marika, thank you. And it's good to see some of the funding that you pulled in. And as we know, moving forward with the result of Measure A, we know we're going to be having to make some serious cuts, and we're going to have to make some decisions, difficult decisions as a board moving forward. Excuse me. And it's been, suggested that the library and the museum are low-hanging fruit and would be easy to cut to provide more service for public safety. I, however, don't agree. And all of us were at a conference in Anaheim a couple of weeks ago, and for those of us who were able to see the keynote speaker, really drove home the point of how critical those early years are for the development and education of young children, and the services that you provide there at the library are critical. It's especially for bilingual children who are learning how to learn. And so I also have a special place in my heart for that library. And if you can imagine a time growing up without the internet, I went to school at St. Isidore's down the road, so we start writing term papers in 6th grade. So a lot of time researching in that library in my young years. So grants and all these things are going to be critical. And I know, meeting with all of you as we move forward, trying to see what we can do, as we get into the new year and into the next budget is going to be very important. I feel the same about the museum. My grandfather was one of the donors to help build the museum, so that place is important to me too and critical to the education here locally. So I want to thank you for the work you do and look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, through the so Mike, I couldn't agree more with what Nick said, and the speaker was very dynamic in Anaheim. My question is, how many of these grants require matching funds? Are they all fully funded, or?
It varies. I would say some require matching funds, but it's usually a percentage of the total amount, and it's very easy to match with the amount that the county is already putting towards salaries and other things that we have. So, for instance, the $7 million grant that we're looking at does not require any match because of our low income as a county. We're not required to have any match for that grant. So.
Thank you.
All right. Well, first of all, outstanding job, James and Molly. Outstanding. Perfect. One thing, since it's on the discussion, I'd like to get staff to set up a meeting with myself and Vice Chair with actually, if we could set this up with City of Yuba City, City of Marysville, we'll go out the museum right now, City of Yuba City and City of Marysville and Yuba County as some possible joint venture with the museum. I've spoken with a council member each and supervisor, and they're willing to sit down. Like I said, it's only one I've spoken with, but I think it's something we really need to discuss. I think it could be huge. Look what we do with the Arts Council. It just strengthened numbers and so forth. But like I said, it's the Yuba-Sutter Museum. And with the library, I'd like to do the same thing with the library, set up those meetings with the city, with the library. And of course, have respected, James there at that meeting and Molly with our other meeting in case we have any questions there. But if we could get those sometime in the next couple weeks before Christmas, that would be awesome. But other than that, first class job. Everything over there is just, it looks great. I'm looking forward to this Friday night. Yes.
Trees and Traditions. This Friday.
Yeah. At the museum.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. I'm excited. Debbie Reed was saying, "You're going, Mike. We got your ticket." I'm like, "Well, I was planning on it anyways." But so let's raise some money for great organization. Well, thank you very much. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I just want to say it was great hearing the report from you today, and you guys are doing an awesome job there, considering the resources that you have to utilize to get the job done, and really proud of the library and museum to see where it's really come in the last couple of years, especially. And I also want to just offer up to you that if there's any support we can give you as supervisors, I don't know, letters to support your, grant opportunities or anything else that we can do, for sure we'll be seeing at Trees and Traditions and help you other ways. But we just want you to know we're there for you for that support.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
First class.
Chair.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I just want to thank you again for your presentation. Echo what my fellow supervisors have said here, but I did have an opportunity to sit on the interview for that grant that you wrote, and I just want to tell everybody that Molly did an amazing job giving that presentation, and that I was hoping to hear that you'd already been awarded, or at least that I guess going to go to the next steps. But I just want to thank you guys all for what you're doing there, and we continue to look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to number 15, Neil Hayes.
Determination that the apparent low bidder and the apparent second low bidder were non-responsive due to major irregularities with their bids. Approval of a construction contract to the responsive and reasonable low bidder, Barth Roofing Company, Inc., in the amount of $466,569 for the fiscal year 2022-23 roof replacement projects. Project number C23180006 and C23180007. Authorization for the Director of Development Services to execute the contracts and to execute change orders in the amount not to exceed $45,088. Approval of an adjustment to the fiscal year 2022-23 adopted budget, increasing appropriations in the Capital Project Fund 0016 by $85,000 for the roof project C23180006, offset by transfers from General Fund Committee fund balance for capital projects.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Zickmeyer and Supervisors. So this matter pertains to our fiscal year 22-23 roof replacement project, which are two buildings, the General Services Building, 146 Garden Highway, and then Adult Probation on Boyd Street. So kind of as the title mentions, unfortunately, we had a lot of things going on with the bid. So we received about 5 bids. The first 2 had some major bid irregularities that were reviewed with through my department and with County Council, and I kind of can go through the staff report and explain what transpired and then why we made the recommendations essentially to award to the lowest or the third lowest bidder, a company called Barth Roofing out of Tracy. So with that, I may see if we can scroll through some of the staff report. So, for example, just to highlight what explains, so this is the bid from the low bidder and line A2. So what happened is the quantity is 9,300 square feet. They listed a unit price of $345, and then they listed an extended total price of $32,000. So it's a math error, unfortunately, that the unit price should have been $3.45. And because when you do that, it works out to be about $3.2 million. And the way that our bid package and our bid manual reads, all the language is included in your staff report. But when there are mathematical errors, the way that we calculate the total is we take the quantity, multiply it by the specified unit price, and that becomes the total. Then we add that all up and get a number. So unfortunately, their originally total full price was just under $394,000. So when they had this irregularity, it took their price significantly above all the other bids. If we scroll through to the next page, I'll show you what happened to the So then on this bid, this was the second low bidder, and I've actually never seen this done before in my time with Public Works, but on line A3, they put in the word, or the designation NA instead of putting in some type of dollar figure, 0, 1, any type of number. So essentially it provides for an incomplete bid. And in the public contract code, the county has to deem all the contractors responsive and responsible. And responsible means you can do the work. Responsive is that you complied with the bid project manual and you submitted a complete bid. Our challenge would be that if on the project, if this work was to need to occur, they could potentially provide change orders and request a change orders for the work because they didn't stipulate a price. All the other contractors provided prices for this line item. Some put in 0, some put in other dollar figures. So it's just unfortunate they didn't provide a price. So consequently, we would want to deem them as non-responsive, which leads us then to the third contractor, which the documents are included in their bid package. And the two alternatives that really do exist is either to award the project to the third low bidder, which is deemed our low bid. At this point, that's responsible and responsive, or to rebid the project. In talking to general services and talking to the county administrative offices and talking to the affected departments, with winter coming, the materials are available. That was one of the issues that we discussed with the vendors and the contractors essentially prior to even bidding this project during the job walk, was just the availability of materials. So should, the total duration of the project is about 20 working days, so that's essentially a calendar month is how that works out. So it's our recommendation that although the project, because of the various bids, do require an adjustment to the budget of approximately $85,000, which that covers the cost of the bids, that covers the cost of a contingency, and the cost of the allowable change order amount per the state's public contract code. We're recommending that your board would award the contract to the third bidder and allow us to proceed with the work, and we would look to get it done as quickly as possible. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I'm going to open it up for speaker cards, public comment. No speaker cards. Close that up and bring it back to the board for discussion.
Through there. So, Neil, I like the low bidder, obviously, best, but since they made the errors, I don't see that we have a lot of choices, one. And two, the other side of the coin is, let's say you put the bid out to rebid it. Number one, you're going to probably cost, 2 months?
Probably 3, yes.
3 months, okay. So we'll have most of the winter through this, and who knows what kind of damage we'll have in the buildings if we keep waiting. And number 3, by bidding it again, you let everybody else see, because it's a public record, what the other guys bid. It doesn't seem fair to the ones who actually did the bid correctly.
Yes, and in addition, we believe that the materials involved, the price may increase just on the materials themselves, independent of the labor. So, like I say, while we realize it's a more costly contract to award for the two facilities, we think it's in the county's best interest to proceed.
Through the chair. Yeah. Neil, what if we were to go ahead and agree to this? Have you discussed with them how quickly they could get in to start the work, do you think? I asked that because we saw the damage last year with our roofs are all so bad on so many of our buildings.
Right. So I actually spoke with the representative of the third low bidder, the one that we've identified to award the contract, and we would look to get the contract and the bonds executed in 2 weeks.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you.
I'll comment. I agree with you, Matt. It's like I'm thinking if we put, I'm afraid to put it out there because I myself am about ready to pour concrete for a project, and they told me I'm 3 weeks to a month out from concrete. I talked to my guy doing the concrete. He said, Mike, it's like that across the board. He said, with a lot of these projects, people are buttoning them up right now before. I'm just afraid that, let's say if we save $5,000, $10,000, we're going to get $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in damage. Goes back to what Mr. McKelly had to say and what happened last year. So I'm torn here. It's like we could go back, like I said, and possibly save 5 or 10,000, but costs us 30, 40, or even more. Have another roof collapse. So I'd like to hear from other board and see what they have to say about it.
I'd like to see if there was a possibility to go back out to the folks that bid to see if they were able to make those 2 line item corrections, or if not, then to actually bid. I mean, it's our duty to see what we could do to save the county money, so I'd open it back up for a rebid.
Supervisor, we wouldn't allow the bidders to change their bid. It would allow an unfair advantage, and so it would not be allowed.
Well, let me ask you a question, Neil. What's the possibility? Let's say if we get out there and we go, because I do agree with you, Supervisor Baines, and so forth. But I'm just curious: is there any no time limit? Something if they can get out there and bid this as soon as possible, and maybe get on the project instead of 3 months, or.
So to rebid it, because of the valuation of the project and stuff, we would have to bring the bid package back before your board to essentially adopt it. We try to make actually some material changes. You normally have to make material changes to the bid to put it back out to bid. So we would look to do that. We could bring it back to maybe the earliest would be the 12/13 board meeting. It then legally has to bid for 30 days. And then we could bring it back before your board for award. We could look to, bypass the committee and bring it back direct to the board as an appearance item. But that kind of becomes the challenge. And we, like I say, certainly talked about at our level within our department. We tried to get a sense in the construction community as to what we thought, the likelihood would be, and whether, like I say, there may be some material cost increases that offset what any savings are. Like, it's unlikely that we would get another bid, say for example, at $395,000, just because of material cost increases. And realistically, it's about 2 weeks worth of work at each facility. And so we realize with the inclement weather and stuff that's kind of coming in forecast, but the roofers are very good with, doing the tear off in a certain amount of time, protecting the roof, and then getting in and doing the work. And that, kind of was our outlook, was try to get it done as soon as possible to reduce inconvenience to staff, to departments, even to citizens that may be coming to meet in those offices. So, I mean, like I say, we're certainly happy we can go and rebid it and bring that forward. It's just, I don't know that, like I say, the $85,000 budget adjustment is a conservative catch-all amount. The only reason why that, fully would get used is if there was some unexpected damage once the roof is removed. The previous projects, just to make you aware, the fiscal year 21-22 roof, which was the 463 2nd Street and 1130 Civic Center. So those were completed, within the budgeted amount, within the contingency that was allowed. There was damage that was addressed. So like I say, the budget adjustment is just a catch-all to try to, frankly, not come back before your board seeking approval in order to complete the project and delay them any further.
Through the chair. Oh, sorry. I think we need to adopt this just because we're talking about possibly 3 months. We're going to be right in the bulk of the rainy season. I mean, I know we're in a drought, but you never know. So I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Supervisor McKelly, second by Supervisor Conant. Roll call, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to item number 16.
Approval of an Adopt a Road program to encourage citizens and community organizations to assist with the cleanup of the county's roadway shoulders.
Good afternoon. So our department was asked to develop an Adopt a Road program. Unfortunately, our road crew spends a fair amount of time picking up trash and debris from along the shoulders of the county roadway. So we essentially looked at other jurisdictions and some of the programs that they have in place, and so your staff report includes what is a project manual with some guidelines This, for example, is an example sign that would be put together, but the Adopt the Road program, some of the highlights are that essentially our department would provide the necessary supplies, the bags, the safety vests, and essentially the pickup sticks for members of the general public or community organizations to adopt ideally a 1 mile stretch and maybe in a local road or a residential area, and then up to a 2 mile road on in a general county roadway. There are some guidelines in the program that we'd be looking for potentially traffic volumes that may be less than 1,000 cars a day, because the general public will be out there essentially working somewhat unsupervised and without traffic control. So we'll be looking for roads that have good shoulders, widths, don't have deep drainage ditches next door to the roadway, and don't have an excessive amount of vegetation. But members of the public, there's forms and a process where they would be able to fill it out, submit it to our department. One of my staff would meet with the group or a designee and kind of outline the program. And then should the community decide to go forward with it, our road crew essentially can develop and provide these type of signs that would be put at either end of the road segment, so that obviously either the family members or the community group would gain recognition for the services that they're providing to the county. And the program has been reviewed by the county council and the risk management. We wanted to take into there is essentially a little liability form that they sign on to. The program is restricted to essentially no minors below 13, and then you had to have adults in the vicinity if there's between 13 and 18-year-olds. Like I said, the county will be the one that actually comes and picks up the trash bags, and then we will take them and to dispose of them. The guidelines even have a little exhibit as to how you lay out the trash bags on the side of the shoulder, and we'll come and get them. And then, like I say, my staff, both office engineers and our road crew, would be available to kind of get people situated. The program does specify that ideally we'd like to see maybe between 4 to 6 field pickups in the course of a calendar year. So just and some of that probably will be roadway dependent and stuff, and we certainly can come back before your board and give you a report as to how it's received, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we're going to open up for public comment. No public comment. We'll bring it back to the board for discussion.
Through the chair. So I like this idea. It's great. So your selection of people, basically they fill out an application to do it, and then how do we hold them accountable to the 4 to 6 times a year you're saying, or is it just sort of we hope they do that, or how does it work?
So the guidelines actually include a form that they would kind of schedule with us, give us like a week's notification as to when they're going to go and do the work. There's an email that's included that comes to my department, and then additionally when they're done, they would kind of fill out a completion form. They could email that to us. They can text and call our department. All those numbers are in the guidelines, and then my crew and staff will go out and pick up the debris. So we would know that the work had been done.
Okay, and then could a private business do a road as well, or?
Most definitely, yeah. It's outlined. It's for private citizens, community organizations, church groups, any type of volunteers that would like to assist.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor.
I'm just curious if you use like the Adopt a Highway type of concept, and because I think they do twice a month. Right?
Yes.
Mandatory by Adopt a Highway?
Yeah, so as I surveyed some other jurisdictions, both cities and counties, some only look for like 1 or 2 a year. And like I say, I think it's going to be somewhat dependent on maybe the roadways, that citizens and or volunteer groups are willing to pick. That we may just, because we have a little bit of, historical data on the roads that maybe see a fair amount of debris. And so some would be dependent on that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, okay, so I'm really excited about this because this is something we started talking about 4 years ago, and trying to get through everything. If you've driven through Santa Rosa, Santa Cruz, you'll see their awesome logo on their signs. And Doug Keeling came up to me it's been about 2 years ago, and he said, "Hey, Mike, what about an Adopt a Road, man? My family would love to get out there and pick up trash, will it do this? And I'm like, well, Doug, this is something we've been talking about. And, you know, and we actually like the idea because we all live somewhat in, I mean, I know you guys are in the city, but some of your area, you have a few orchards, you know, a couple acres of orchards and so forth. But there's always blight. There's debris stuff where. And so what I'm getting at is we wanted to make this as simple as possible. We wanted to make it to where when we have these dates, the individuals will put the garbage by the sign so it's easy to go to where the sign is, pick up the trash, throw it in the back of the truck, and go. This could be a huge cost savings to the county. Over $200,000 is spent over in Sutter County a year picking up garbage. You wouldn't believe how much of that is picking up garbage after hours. We have a lot of orchards in Sutter County, so it's not just so much garbage pickup, it's also when the public works guys are out cleaning ditches out, they can't get out and pick up that trash because they're clearing ditches and so forth. And it's just the same guys that are getting the mattress that was thrown out or the TV. And you have the amazing organization, Say Love, doing the same thing and so forth periodically. But this is something that, you know, I know all five of us, our families, will adopt our roadways and so forth and look forward to some family time, whether it be on a Saturday or Sunday or after school, you know, going down and picking up trash. I think we all have side-by-sides, you know, that are diesel operated, you know, ag vehicles that make it easier and so forth. And just walking out and just, you know, walking and getting out and about. I'm excited about this. This is something that, like I said, it's been long talked about, and now we have a chance to vote on. I'm excited for the Ricky family of Sutter, who is our very first family. It's Branch Ricky, who came forth and said, Michelle, they said, hey, we want to be the very first ones to adopt California Street in Sutter, which is a very heavily traveled road, one of the main roads in Sutter. So I know it's a little bit unorthodox, but I'd like to put a motion out to approve it.
To the chair?
Yes.
Move to approve. You move? Oh, I'll second the motion.
Yes. Can I get I got a motion by myself and a second by Supervisor Baines, and can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Yes.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
All right, we're going to take a 2-minute break, and Gina, you're going to be up next.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe, with lessons, in person and personalized. Instruments including guitars and amps, horns, strings for instruments, and a myriad of music and sound equipment. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe.
Through June 30th, 2024, which reflects a 1-year extension, extend a 7% salary increase for the class titles of communication manager and correctional lieutenant, and extend specified incentive pay for our non-sworn law management employees.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board. Gina Rowland, Sutter County Human Resources Director. So last October, at the end of October, your board approved a 3-year agreement between the Sutter County Deputy Sheriff's Association and the County of Sutter for the term that covered July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2023. As with the deputy sheriff positions, the Sutter County Sheriff's Department is experiencing a critical staffing shortage for public safety dispatcher. And for that reason, as well as the fact that the county is getting ready to implement Workday, a new enterprise resource planning system, the county reached out to the Deputy Sheriff's Association and requested to meet and confer over wages with the goal of addressing the staffing shortage for dispatchers, as well as to get a 1-year contract extension so that we are not in bargaining at the same time we're trying to implement a new payroll system. So we reached tentative agreement on a 1-year contract extension in the middle of November, and that agreement is before you today for recommended approval and includes a 7% salary increase for correctional officer, correctional sergeant, public safety dispatcher 123, supervising public safety dispatcher, welfare investigator 12, and supervising welfare investigator. It provides for a salary adjustment next July based on a salary survey that will be conducted in May with a minimum of 3% increase and a maximum of 10% increase to bring the class titles to within 90% of market. So 10% below market. We're not asking to go 100% of market. And that salary adjustment would be divided in half, with 1/2 applied in July next year and the remainder half applied in January. We have 2 provisions in the recommended contract that addresses the low staffing in the dispatch unit. One is a low staffing incentive pay. So anytime the staffing of dispatchers who are able to work alone in the unit falls below 60% of the funded allocated positions, employees would receive 5% low staffing incentive pay. It would stop once they reached at least a minimum of 60% staffing. And the other one is that we would eliminate the maximum vacation accrual for public safety dispatchers. When they are short-staffed, employees are not able to use time, and they could possibly be losing they will stop accruing vacation once they hit the max. We're also recommending to adjust the salary range for public safety dispatcher 3 in the amount of an approximate 5% increase, and adjust the salary range for supervising public safety dispatcher in the amount of an approximately 10% increase. All of this is to assist us in recruiting and retaining employees. We're also requesting to add a new 2.5% longevity premium pay for 5 years of consecutive service. This is consistent with what was negotiated with the Peace Officers Association, and allowing employees to convert up to 120 hours of vacation to their deferred comp account each November. And that's a benefit that's already, or a provision that's already provided to other county employees. We're recommending that the board extend the 7% salary increase to the management classes for correctional lieutenant and communications manager to address compaction that would result from the increases to their subordinate staff. And we are also requesting that the board approve extending the low staffing incentive pay, shift differential, which is not new, just changing the way that it's paid, and at no increased cost, by the way, and changing the amount of time that it would take an employee to advance from step 5 to step 6 in the salary range. The total cost of the contract extension is estimated to be $380,227 for the remainder of this fiscal year, and the Sheriff's Department has sufficient salary savings to cover these costs within their existing budgeted authority. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
We're going to open up for public comment first, and no public comment. We're going to close public comment, bring it back to the board for oh, yes, sir. Yeah, our sheriff would like to speak. Brandon Barnes.
Good evening, board. Sorry I didn't fill out a card, but I am the sheriff, so I guess I'll pull that card and take a few minutes. I really just kind of wanted to say, I know that our Peace Officers Association was before you not that long ago and you know, got a raise. I just want you guys to know the impact that the decisions you guys are making are having. So I think we've had many laterals reach out to us. So pay being equal, we have a place where people actually want to work, and we're actually hiring people that are experienced officers from other agencies, and I think that's important to know. So I think the undersheriff will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think probably by summer we're scheduled to only have about 2 to 4 slated vacancies on the patrol side, which is really good. Of our 7 vacancies in Live Oak, we're 5 of those are now filled again. So we're seeing some really good impacts. On the dispatch side, regretfully, we are going to be down to 2 dispatchers. But with that being said, we've hired 4 and we have another 3 that are in backgrounds right now. And so things are really optimistic, but this particular increase for both corrections, which I think we just tested the other day, we sent 5 to background. We have another round of testing coming up. So people are wanting to work here so long as the salary and benefit packages are competitive. And so I just wanted to acknowledge the board and say thank you for the decisions you've made in the past, and hopefully decisions you will make surely here in the future, because they are having an impact on our department and we are seeing the results. And so I just wanted to say thank you to each of you for that.
Through the chair.
Hold on. Hold on. We'll start over here with Supervisor Baines, and then you go next, Matt.
Move to approve.
Okay. Well, hold on. We got some discussion real fast.
Second.
So I actually had a question for Brandon. So, sorry. So you said that you have 4 dispatchers that are in the process of being hired, or?
Yeah, so we have 2 that just started. We have 2 more that'll be starting probably within the next couple weeks. The challenge that we have is getting them trained, right? So
right.
With only 2 remaining dispatchers, we have to train. So we've had to be a little bit creative in that. I don't think it's any surprise that we are partnering with Yuba County temporarily. Right. They'll be handling some of our dispatching services at night. That'll probably go into effect next Tuesday. We're still working out the details, and I should have a more of a public statement on that here probably by week's end. But yeah, things are trending in the right direction. We just got to make sure that we're continuing to do that.
So you'll still be short even after these 4 are trained, and you have 2 more that are in background, correct? Or is that the same?
There's 3. So that'll be a total. If all of those come to fruition, that'll be a total of 7 new hires plus 2 existing dispatchers. Will be a total of 9. We also have some supervisory positions that are open. We have at least 1 person who's interested in lateraling into our department as a potential supervisor. So, you know, things are very optimistic right now, in my opinion, but we just have to make sure that we continue to stay competitive to see that through.
Thank you, Brandon.
Sorry, Tony. No, I want to comment too. It looks that way. It really does. You know what? I'm hearing a lot of good talks out there, and I'm excited that people are applying for these jobs. Hopefully we could do the same thing for our fire and get more people applying for in those departments. But great job, guys and ladies. Great job over there. I want to say thank you. When I get constituents that ask me, hey, Mike, do you think you can talk with the undersheriff, the sheriff about maybe a patrol here or there? They're easy to talk to. They're very easy. You could call them up and reach out to them. They said, absolutely, we'll talk with the, because every now and then there might be a troubled area or whatever that they're not aware of because no one calls. So if you don't call, they're not going to do anything of it. So I want to thank you guys for that, being able to be joining this thought on that kind of stuff, and appreciate that. So we have a motion by Supervisor Baines, second by Supervisor Flores. Can I get a roll call, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Yes.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, moving on to item number 18.
Approval of a one-time donation in the amount of $5,000 to the Yuba City Downtown Business Association for the Yuba City Christmas Stroll 2022 and Yuba City Summer Stroll 2022.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. Steve Smith, County Administrator. I do want to correct in the staff report, in part of it mentions Summer Stroll 2023, but that should be 2022. So typically we discuss, we'll have a request from the Downtown Business Association. Somehow, probably my fault, we missed it mid-year because it's usually before the Summer Stroll. However, I do recommend on most donations, I I tend to not make a recommendation. It's up to the board. Obviously, every decision is, but what I mean is in this case, I do recommend it because the county typically has a booth at the strolls, and we provide outreach over the years. We've had public health, behavioral health, I think even child support one year. We've had a museum. I'm not sure if we've had library in the past, but so it's a good event to sponsor for the community, and it's something good for the county to be able to provide outreach for programs. So it's not just a pure donation. And also Sandy Drown, president of the Downtown Business Association, is here to discuss her request as well. Hit the button.
Thank you very much.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, good. Good evening, Chairman Ziegemeier and Supervisors. Thank you for having me, Steve, and add me to the agenda. I am Sandy Drown. I am the president of the Yuba-Sutter Downtown Business Association, located in the heart of Sutter County.
Right on. Good job, Sandy. How can you say no to that?
I'm working hard. He actually gifts me every time I say that, so just so the other supervisors know. Just kidding. So our event, we've got 2 strolls. The city sponsors it as well. It brings about 15,000 people to each event. And we've had, like Steve Smith said, we do have, Sutter County does have, this year we have public health that will be there. We have tobacco, but a lot of the county's programs are there to be able to support and push your guys' initiatives as well. And it's a great community event. We also get a ton of people from Sacramento and the surrounding areas that attend. So a great way to highlight our community and then also as a community to get together and enjoy each other.
Well, I think it's an amazing event. We try to go every year, and I think it's awesome when you hear the people from Sacramento that are there or from Placerville. And we're like, wow, that's really neat, because they like to go to strolls like that, and they look on the calendars, and I think it's a first-class event, and it's really awesome. There's actually a lot of places to park because it's all throughout Plumas Street. I love everything about it. So if you have anything else to say, we'll be looking for a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Supervisor Flores, second by Supervisor Baines.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Yes.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Through the chair, I'd just like to thank Sandy for the great work that she really does, is keeping our downtown vibrant and pulling the businesses together, and especially through the whole COVID time. I know working hand in hand with this board, we worked with you, and just the work you've done for the downtown businesses, watching that whole area grow up. And now, of course, you have David Reed, who's there in the downtown with you, and others. And it's just exciting to see what's really happening on Plumas Street. So we'll have to have all these guys out for dinner sometime and just enjoy a night over on Plumas Street together.
Definitely. And we would also, from the Yuba-Sutter Downtown Business Association during COVID, Sutter County was strong in supporting the businesses down there. So we appreciate that. 2020 was definitely a tough time, and we stayed open because we had the support of the Sutter County. So thank you for that, and thank you for your support, because we wouldn't be able to do these 2 events like this without your support. So thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you very much. All right. So we're going to go to item number 19, which is current boards and commissions and vacancies. Those that are here watching, those that are here, please look through those. We have a lot of great committees, a lot of great boards and commission openings, and be part of government. And join some of these. Some of these you learn a lot, and you could really put a lot of input in some of these. And so we appreciate those that are on those committees already. Look forward to others that are applying for them. But Steve, you want to take it away?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. I was just going to mention 1 or 2 things. One, we have 3 meetings in a row, meaning 2 more after this. Because of the holidays, this meeting was later than normal, and other conflicting events. And then, so next Tuesday we have a meeting, and the following Tuesday we also have another meeting, meetings of the board. So just wanted to mention that for those wanting to attend. I also wanted to mention Measure A. It was the 1 cent sales tax measure that would have covered the city and county. And I just wanted to state, because I've gotten a few questions about from citizens about, well, what happens now with the budget? And, you know, we don't want people to panic. We're always going to make, you know, do our research, look at, each year is different. So as a county, we're very dependent upon the state. So it's difficult to plan too far ahead, but we're always going to try to maintain services. We know public safety is a big priority for the board, but that what every department does is important, and that we're going to make informed recommendations because your board does have to make those tough decisions. But again, I just don't want people to panic. I want them to know that we respect the outcome of the vote and we're going to move forward in a positive manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. All right. With that being said, we're going to start over here with Supervisor Baines.
Yes, Chairman. If we could please have some letters of sympathy and condolences go out to the families of Lincoln Eden Sr., Karnal Singh Chima, Jeffrey Michael Martisich, Betty June McLean, Leona Teresa Tressa, Jatinder Paul Jaggi S. Bola, and then a letter to congratulate our very own Ryan Reynolds for being named the Pioneer Valley Coach of the Year.
And if I could be put on Jeffrey Michael Martish as well, please. All right. Thank you very much, Supervisor. Supervisor Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make a public statement. I'd like to publicly thank the citizens of Sutter County, who nearly 50% of them who supported Measure A, and that the CAO just mentioned. Nearly 50% of those citizens, you know, proved that they realized the importance of public safety, and they supported this measure. I also want to especially thank the Citizens Committee that came together. I mean, they went out on a limb. These are a lot of business owners. These are a lot of well-respected individuals within the community who pulled together to show their support for fire and our sheriff's department. I want to thank the police chief, the sheriff, of course, and the fire chief for helping us out and supporting the measure through as well. You know, a lot of work went into it, and it was disappointing on the outcome. But I do want to publicly support what Steve just mentioned as well, and that we're not going to waver. We will continue to be dedicated to public safety in this county. And at the end of the day, we will prevail to be supportive of what happens with public safety and what happens with the budget overall. And we'll continue to do the best we can and serve the hardest that we can for Sutter County. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Koenig.
Yes, I'd like to close the memory of Buzz Osterly. Buzz passed away about 2 weeks ago, and he suffered for over 10 years with a debilitating disease similar to Alzheimer's, but much worse. Really took him down. Great guy, great family. I remember him as a very young man. When I was much younger, his future wife was teaching me swimming lessons, and he would come down to see Sherry every day during swimming lessons. So anyway, fond memories there, but we'll miss him dearly. And I'd like to thank the community for their support in Measure A that we almost passed it. We 800 short, but you know, nobody wants to do taxes when we have a recession looming possibly, and you know, inflationary factors going on, and taxes high in the state already. But we got to run the government. We got to have public services and public safety. In my mind, county government, public safety is our #1 goal and objective. And this board has always supported public safety and the Sheriff's Department and fire, and we will continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to thank all the people who came out Saturday for the SALEB event in District 1. My family and I hosted the event there at Loma Receiving, and my cousin Angelo from Pasquini's provided the lunch, and it was really nice to see everybody up there, finally up our way on the outskirts of Live Oak and all of the rural area in District 1. And I know there was a few people in the room. It looks like they're all gone now, but just wanted to thank everybody who came out for the event. Thank you.
All right. Couple things. First of all, I'd like to see that on the agenda for next meeting, a sponsorship of $5,000 towards Say Love for Sutter County projects. And then I'd also like to set up some meetings with, like I said, myself and Vice Chair, and of course all the main players from our sheriff, Yuba County Sheriff, City of Marysville Chief, and the same thing with City of Yuba City Chief, to talk about a joint dispatch center and what something like that could look like, and is it a possible? I know we've talked about it, the sheriff and us, and I'm sure you all have talked about it for quite some time, but we want to start discussing those items. One thing I want to talk about, it's a lot's changed over the last few months in, we talk about Measure A and so forth, and we talk about some of the ugliness that I've seen on social media and bullying online. And I feel bad for some of the staff. Like, I have tough skin. I can deal with it. You can call me whatever you want. I'm still going to work with you. I don't care. Don't bother me a bit. But it's not right. It's not fair. I mean, some of the things that some of the staff members have been called, and we respect your opinion, and we respect where you stand on items, and we're always going to do that. We work for the public, but please, let's be respectful. Be respectful for everyone, because we all, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, the best for Sutter County. I mean, Measure A. I can almost bet $1 million that every one of these gentlemen would have put 100% of that into public safety. I know I would have. We couldn't come out and say that because that's against the law. We couldn't come out and say that, hey, this is going to go to public safety. All right? Because then we'd be tied up in litigation and so forth. But that's how we've always felt. And I wish we could have gone to every one of our open houses, every one of our events, that, hey, 100% of this is going to public safety. We couldn't do that. All we could ask is that people that know us, that, Mike Zagermeyer didn't come into Sutter County a year ago, 5 years ago, nor did Supervisor Baines or Supervisor Flores or McKelly, or hell, 100 years for this gentleman right here, and his family. They know they know how we feel. They know how we are. They know what kind of background we are. They know how they know, and I truly believe those that did vote. But I did hear people come back and say, Mike, I wish you could have put it on there just 100% for public safety. We would have voted that way, and I respect it. We couldn't tell you that, and that stinks because we wish we could have. But either way, we're going to do. We just showed you on that vote earlier. We're going to do whatever it takes to support public safety. And we have a long line ahead because we do support public safety, but we know we have other employees here in Sutter County, and we got to be respectful for alls and for everyone. But we're gonna, like I said, we're just gonna keep on going down this road. I want to send a plaque out to Doug Keeling for all he's done for the community. Doug no longer lives here; he lives in Idaho. He's one that helped me put this neighborhood cleanup together. So I'll get his address for that. Rumble strips. We've had a few accidents on Humphrey Road and Highway 20. It's very, very, very bad things. I mean, you talk about mutual aid. We've used every bit of mutual aid just in the last few months on 3 major accidents right there. It's a Caltrans stop sign. Can't do anything about the stop sign. Caltrans is doing a study that we requested. Still waiting on that study. Please, Neil, if we could look into putting rumble strips there and some sort of a flasher on both sides that oncoming, you're coming up to a stoplight, if we can do that. Want to do plaques for our local champions. We got from East Nick, Sutter High School, and some certificates for the young men that, and not just young men, but we got to do plaques for our volleyball teams, East Nicholas and Sutter High School again. And, but that's incredible. East Nick, you know, you got some section championships and then some all-leaguers, so I want to get plaques for them. Sorry. Also want to close the memory of Tom Gilday of Yuba City, who passed away in October, and our own Joni Adams, who worked for the museum, I believe. And if we could close the memory of her, and as well as Wilma Crothers of Meridian, 106 years old. Wow, 106, that's amazing. That's incredible. So, at the end of the day, we're all one community, we're all part of the same team. Let's try to act like it. Let's all be respectful of each other, and let's work hard with each other. And I hope you guys have a great week. And I think we have a closed session after this. All right. Thank you very much. If there's anything else, what? We need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. We got a motion by Supervisor Baines, second by Supervisor Flores.
Supervisor McCully?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Closed session with Conference of Legal Counsel existing litigation. Case name Royal P. Clare versus County of Sutter et al. Case number United States District Court, Eastern District of California, 222 at 00461. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 1.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe, with lessons, in person and personalized. Instruments including guitars and amps, horns, strings for instruments, and a myriad of music and sound equipment. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe.